Welcome to another episode of The Raw Truth. As always, I'm your host, BX Bad Boy. And today we're going to talk Aftermath. Let me start off with thank you for joining me. And today I'll ask that you subscribe for those who aren't. It's like 14% of you that are viewing aren't subscribed. I could use your support. Unless you don't want to support me, and that's why you aren't doing it, but I'd appreciate the subscribe and the like. It helps bring my video up for other people to see that don't know I exist, and it helps our channel get bigger and better. I can only give but so much. I don't like this green screen crap, but I got to do this out of my bedroom that I share with my 11-year-old boy when he's here. I want to be able to give you bigger and better, so I could use the support to do so. I thank you for your time, and today we're talking, like I said, about Aftermath, and the Aftermath is everyone thinks that Donald Trump's gone. Just because he's no longer the president, if that's the case, because the Electoral College still hasn't met yet, that doesn't mean, by any means, that he's gone. He intends to try to literally steal the White House. You can't steal a stationary building. That's number one. Number two, you're not president. You already admitted it. You know you lost. So with that admittance, get the hell out the damn building. But we'll see what happens January 20th. I'm more worried about the aftermath. Between now and January 20th, he still has incomplete power. He can do so much more that Biden would have to fix. That it's not even funny, but no one paying any attention to that. They're the lame duck session, as they call it. The shit he can do. Look at the shit he's done thus far. The shit he can continue to do between now and then. Like, he opened up the natural reserves. It was protected land to fracking and all the kinds of abuse. That's just for starters. He could do so much more, and what does he care? He's either going to jail or he needs to make a shitload of money before he gets out of office. So when he gets out of office, he can pay off lawyers, pay off the debt he owes, get people off his back, whatever the case may be. I'm more worried about that. Now, yes, it sounds like I'm worried about if he's going to save his own ass. That is one thing, because to save Donald Trump's ass, he has to hurt us. It's the only way. And my concern is, can Biden fix this? And of course, my secondary concern, will he? Because the Senate, the House of Representatives had all the time they wanted to try to counteract his executive orders. From my understanding, they didn't do shit. So a friend once said to me that if the Congress doesn't do anything about executive orders, then they're complacent. They agree to them. They didn't say they agree to them, but they are by not doing anything. And just for the record, sarcasm, just one of my many traits. That's what it says, right? Nope. Sorry, it says many talents, but trait, talent, same thing. I don't get why people are so shocked that so many people voted for him. There's an underbelly to our society that wants the freedom to be racist. I don't get why, though, in the sense that I don't need to hate you for your color to hate you. Just hate you. Why they're so driven to be allowed to be racist. It's like they want violence. They want drama. And now that Trump has released them and let the Kraken out, so to speak, you think that's going to go back in the jar? I don't think so. If you haven't noticed that violence has skyrocketed under Trump, racism has skyrocketed under Trump. We saw a lot of videos of police brutality. before Trump. But we were shocked, like, oh my God. But we're seeing a lot more police brutality since Donald Trump while being recorded doing it. And some of them were recorded by their own body cams. Why do you think that is? That's because Trump made it okay to be racist. He made it okay to do almost anything against society. And he divided us worse than Moses. Is it Moses? Yeah, Moses. Did the Red Sea. I get Moses and Noah mixed up. I have no religion. I'm not Christian. I'm not Catholic. I'm not independent. I believe in what I feel. We'll get into that in a second. Now, as I said, I'm not for Biden in the sense that, like, I wasn't waiting for him to run and, oh, yay, Biden. But anybody, a monkey's ass, could do better than Trump. Because Trump didn't care about us. He cared about trying to line his pockets and help out his friends. Dictators and other countries that he was doing side deals with while president to benefit himself, like Turkey. They just did this, I think I saw it on with the New York Times, put out the report on how at one point the Turkey canceled their gathering at one of Trump's hotels, and then Trump offered them something in his political powers to get them to go there and spend money. The fucker's broke. Fucker couldn't run a marathon if he hired someone to do it for him. And yes, millions and upon millions, from according to the reports, 70-something million Americans voted for Donald Trump. Still lost, but voted for Donald Trump. Shocked much? Let's see. I've come across no less than a racist every day. Different racist every day. For the last 41 years, going on 42. They, in some cases, don't think they're racist. In other cases, they don't think you're going to see the racism in their statements. I had this conversation, I brought it up before. My father didn't realize it now. My father is not a quote-unquote racist. He's just an idiot. He doesn't realize what his words can do and what his words actually mean. And for once, this is one of the individuals, not the only one, that don't realize the racism in their statement. Because of one reason or another, because they were born in the 50s and it was the norm. But anyway, my father says, or had said, he has retracted it since, he had said that he couldn't walk through a group of blacks because blacks hate whites. So there's a chance there would be some kind of racial tension if he walked through them. But if it was a group of whites, it's okay because there's no racial tension between whites on whites. And when I try to explain to him that's racist and how it's racist, he kept telling me, no, it can't be racist. You're telling me you walk through a group of blacks? I said, listen, I won't walk through a group of people for two reasons. As I stated before and I'll state again. I don't know what the hell they're up to. Their race is irrelevant. I don't know if they would sit there and find it as a disrespect, because I feel like I'm disrespecting people, making them move, when I as an individual can just walk slightly around them. And two, I don't know these motherfuckers, and they outnumber me. That's just common sense. But it didn't matter and wouldn't matter and couldn't matter to me what color they were. A group of whites, I still ain't walking through them neither. Spanish, not walking through them. Blacks, not walking through them. But it has nothing to do with their races. It has something to do with common sense. Now, my father was basically pointing out that point, but he added that he assumes it's not worth the risk Now, I mean, he's 69 years old. And as I say before, he's now in a rehab with having delusion issues, doesn't really know who he is or what's going on around him. He doesn't know how to talk, and he says things without adding the context that deserves to be added to his potential opinion. He wasn't saying because they're black. He doesn't want to walk through them. He was merely meaning that it's not worth the risk if there was one or more within the group that were racist against whites. Because he knows that whites, for obvious history, have been racist, neglectful, abusive to blacks. So if there was anybody in that group, and when we got into this conversation deeper, he made more mention to what if one of them, because I was like, that's stupid to think they all, because they're black, they all hate whites. He goes, well, what if there's one of them? And he's got a point, but that shouldn't be your point of why you don't do it, because then it sounds racist, because you're basing it on a race and racial tension. Why wouldn't you base it on the real truth of the matter, male ego? Because it doesn't matter what color they are, there's a good chance they're going to have a problem with you walking through them. So shouldn't base anything on color. Listen, I make my jokes, I bust my brother's chops all the time, and it's not even his chops, because him and I go back and forth about busting stereotype chops, and we say it in a not a we believe term, but in a, I forgot the word, when we're mocking the abuse of stereotype, like how all blacks like fried chicken and watermelon, and if there's some of that at your party, blacks will come around from around the corner because they smell fried chicken. Stupid shit like that. But I tend to do it against me more than against blacks. I say, I smell fried chicken, the black's coming at me. Because no matter what, I'm sorry, my skin tone and my nationality will remain what I was born with. So I make those jokes because it's like making a mockery of the whole idea that there's a stereotype. And it's all in good fun. And so far, most people laugh at it and they make a white joke. And I'm like, you know what? I told you before, you're the whitest fucker I ever met. Hey, that's not funny. Yes, it is. Because you're as dark as the night sky, and I just called you whiter than me. So yeah, that's hilarious. Not as much anymore these days because, I mean, that's a played out joke for most. I don't give a shit. I like the oldies. They're still the goodies. Because there's no evil intent in those old stereotypical jokes. And they don't even sound evil. They sound like, oh wow, that's some fucked up shit. Like when you tell somebody, you know, your ass is lopsided. Really, man? You go to want my ass like that? But, I mean, anyone who got a problem with it, you're more than welcome to tell me, and I'll respect your wishes, and in front of you and to you, and won't make those jokes. But me and my brothers, nobody cares. We don't take offense to stereotypes. We take offense to flat out racism. Stereotypes, no. I mean, I've been made fun of and stereotypically because I'm white. Stereotypically because I'm fat. Stereotypically because many things. And I didn't take offense to them. It's all in good fun. But if somebody were to call me a racial slur, I probably wouldn't take any offense to it either, because I'm not what you call me, I'm what I choose to answer to. But I understand that there's a less oppression done to me, or not me, done to my ancestors or my people, whatever you want to call them, my douche canoe friends. Um, so I don't have a history of family members and generations developing this hatred of either being oppressed or enslaved to like live on. Now, all races have been enslaved by one form of people or another. Some enslaved by their own people. Other people were sold into slavery. The original Africans sold their own family members and sold enemies into slavery to the whites, as much as the whites came over to Africa and started stealing people. Some of them were actually paid for it to their own people. But I digress on that one. Because some people, there's no way. Why would a black man sell a black man? Get the fuck out of here. White people sell white people. Black people sell black people. Everybody has sold their own people. Some have sold them under the bridge, under the river, up the river, to hell and back. Trump is fucking proof of that shit. But I digress. But my ancestors, my family line, doesn't know that oppression. Doesn't know that slavery. Now, when we came to this country, as Americans, when we were actually British, or Britain, or England, whatever, we were under somebody else's rule. And we brought slaves with us as a people. Doesn't matter what the color we were, doesn't matter what color the slaves were, just the slaves. Even after reality set in and we as a people got our freedom from England for the very same thing that we were doing. So England, for lack of a better term, enslaved us in the degree of abused us, neglected us, got rich off us, and we lived under their rule. And if the king wanted to come bang your wife before you did, he got to do it, that kind of shit. Like, I mean, I don't know what happened in Ireland or Scotland. I don't know how that went everywhere else, but they enforced their will. We wanted our freedom, so we revolted. Our revolution gave us our freedom in 1776. So my whole point, stupidity, we fought for our freedom while enslaving someone else. That is the biggest kick in the nuts of irony I've ever heard. We want our freedom. Fuck these guys. So the slaves watched the rest of society around them fight for their freedom while still being oppressed and enslaved by them. Then when they were finally freed, it didn't stop. It didn't stop. It actually got worse, if you can even imagine. Because as long as a slave was doing what they were supposed to and working their hardest, they were treated like animals, in the sense that they were kept in like pens and fed in a trough and all that other stuff. But when it came time, after their freedom was given to them, they were tortured relentlessly, no matter what kind of person they were. If they were a good citizen, if they helped out with the community, there was no way to keep them safe by their behavior. Just being them. Sorry. So they have a whole lot more reason. Any slave, black, white, Chinese, Latino of this country, have so much more reason to be upset than those who weren't. And those people who wanted slavery to continue, which was North and South, they both had slaves. Even during the war, which was over slavery, the North still had slaves. And the North was probably one of the worst on how they treated the free slaves that were now American citizens. Probably a lot worse than the South, which is so sad. Now, don't get me wrong, in time that got worse. And in time, the North got more conniving about it, where they put up laws like laws to stop slaves from getting this equality that the previous slave owners had. Down south, they were more violent about it. They rather, beat up, burn, and hang. The North was less aggressive and more subtle. Yeah, you can have that car, but you need 4. But they didn't call them white. 4 particular people at a certain level in society to vouch for you. Where the non-slave counterpart, or the previous slave owner counterpart, didn't need all that. Convenient. Even though down south, you want a car, they beat you up and throw you in the woods. And that was the major difference, but they both treated slavers, previous slaves, or freed people, we'll call them that, because that's more respectful. The freed people like shit. So the systemic racism in this country, not just in our police, in this country, is real. And if you think it isn't, then you're one of them. A comedian, Catherine Ryan, she made a statement inside one of her stand-ups that Bill Cosby hated being accused of being a raper and a molester, but a non-rapist and a non-molester didn't mind the question. She was saying that Bill Cosby would leave an interview if he was asked, did he rape these women? If he molested these women, he would get up and leave in a huff. A normal person who has never raped and has never molested anyone, when asked upon that, wouldn't get offended and leave. They'd be like, no. And she asked a few people in the audience before she pulled out the point. And she asked them all, have you ever raped anyone? Have you ever raped anyone? Have you ever raped anyone? And they all said no. She thanked them for their service, or their help. And then after it was done, you know what people hate being asked? Rapists. And the whole truth is, the people who hate being called a racist and don't think there's a racism in this country tend to be the racist. There's a few old sayings that said, everybody's got this one annoying fucking friend that just can't get rid of. And if you turn around and say, I don't have any of those friends, and what's the statement mean? You're it. The Klan has been hiding themselves and afraid to show themselves. Doing it again. And they've been hiding themselves for years. I don't know why he keeps doing this. This time it's not recording though. Last time it started recording. This time it shrank the screen again. I wonder if it's going to go back. So, they've been hiding themselves because they were ostracized because of what they stood for and the hoods and the violence. And that's what should happen. But that doesn't mean they stopped being racist. It doesn't mean they didn't stop. It doesn't mean they stopped hating blacks and brown skin. That just meant they kept it to themselves until the right opportunity or the right douchebag would make it easier to come out. Like, I'm not even compare them to anyone that's positive. Mm, take that back. Eh, I would have known. No, no. Hold on. Oh, oh. I sneeze like an elephant. Don't tell no one. Um, but they were afraid to come out because of how they were ostracized by, normal people. Then comes along Donald Trump. He may not have said verbatim, it's okay to be racist. But no answer is an answer. He's doing it again. I don't want to take no pictures. Who told you to take pictures? You shit monkey. I'm a fancy guy. There we go. It's bigger now. GoPros are touchy. So, him not denouncing it made it okay. And he could say, I'm not with them. That's not denouncing it. Let me tell you something. If you come to me and ask me, is it okay to hate blacks? I'm going to tell you no. You come to me and tell me it's okay to hate Latinos. No. You come talk to me and ask me it's okay to hate white people. I'm still going to tell you no. Though deep down inside of me, I hate that. They did anything they did in my past or my ancestors. Because it hurts to know how little this society valued life. I'm not gonna lie, I kill lots of bugs. It's not because I don't value life, because they're annoying as fuck. So annoy me and I'm gonna kill you too. Just kidding. Bugs are different. They bite, they sting. In some cases, they try to kill me. So I'm gonna kill them first. I ain't going out without fighting. So, in short, it was a very long time. The aftermath. Sorry, I got a little sidetracked. Because this is the aftermath. The underlying racism that they've been harboring all these years is now out. Look how long it took to put that genie back in the bottle. Well, can't even say back in the bottle. Put that genie in the bottle. And I only say back in the bottle because when you're born, you're not a racist. That's something taught and or learned. Mostly taught. And I guess that would make it learned. But what I mean by learned is over time, you develop this feeling that that race is no good or that race is up to something because you have a lot of interactions with that race. Like I've had lots and lots and lots, oh my God, lots of interactions with other races. Okay? And I mean, gonna sneeze? Nope. You hear when that happens? Anyway, I've had lots of interactions with the black race, with the Latino race, with the Chinese race, not just one of those people. I'm referring to multiple blacks over my lifetime, multiple Latinos over my lifetime, multiple Chinese, and so on. Now, most of my interactions in my youth were horrible. I mean, I was jumped twice, three times, on 3 separate occasions by 3 separate groups of people, all because I was white. I've been stabbed. I had my back damn near carved open, all because I was white. Well, one of them was because some girl was really mad at me. I didn't do anything. Promise I didn't do anything. but all I heard was, fuck that bitch, to my back. I don't know who she was talking about. It didn't last long for obvious reasons. But I never said to myself, wow, are all blacks like this? Wow, are all Latinos like this? Wow, are all Chinese people like this? Wow, all crazy women like this? It never dawned on me to think that. And I wasn't raised by one particular person, and that might be a lot of reason. In a previous video I put this out, that I was raised by strangers, product of the system. And yeah, most of them were black. And maybe if I was raised by my father, a white man, and my mother alone, a white woman, with my white brother and sisters, surrounded by a bunch of whites, maybe I might have turned out differently than I am. I like to think not. I like to think this was always my nature, and nature would have willed out. But like I said, racism isn't something inherent, it's something taught and or learned. Maybe I would have learned to be racist too. Or hold races accountable due to their stereotypical behavior. Who knows? Like I said, I like to think not, because I know it's going to sound weird, but I don't remember any of the teachings of the people that helped raise me. Like specifically what they told me about blacks, specifically what they told me about racists, or racism, or racists, or anything. Or not even what things they told me about what the white people are responsible for in my past, my ancestors. I don't remember any of it. I just remember they inspired me not to judge because of someone's skin color, sexual preference, or even hairstyle. And I guess that sums it up. Maybe we don't need to teach our children not to be racist or religious haters, whatever those people are called. Because if they're religious, that means you're into religion. It doesn't mean you're against religion or judge people by their religion. I don't know what that's called. I'm sorry. I don't really give a fuck to look it up. But we need to, I do it anyway, but I never put it in terms. Just teach our children not to judge a person by, I know we teach our children for back in the day, because the words I was taught, don't judge a book by its cover. But, okay, I just forgot the word. Superficial. By superficial things, like skin, that's superficial. Clothing, superficial. Religion, superficial. Political, superficial. You get my point. But judge people by their actions. I've been trying to teach my son that don't judge a person by anything but their actions and the words that come out of their mouth. Now you can make judgments about a person, like if somebody's wearing pastel green, ew. But it's not really judging them. Well, judging their taste. Yeah. Now, if you like pastel green, I don't give a fuck. Do you? I won't go anywhere near it. I don't even like eating M&Ms during Easter because of the pastel color. They're gross. To me, they look like vomit with color. So I'm not interested though. Thank you though. But that's not really judging the person so much as their taste. And just because someone wears pastel green, I'm not going to think that they're going to blow me up or eat all my fucking snacks or going to hate me or going to rape me or molest my kid. No, I'm just going to tell them you ain't decorating my house. So why is it can't be that simple? Judge people by their actions, not by superficials. And also, you don't even have to judge people by their actions. You can judge their actions. And what I mean by that, and I'll close that here because it's 5:53 a.m. and I don't know, but I'll put it here. My mother and I got in this conversation several times, and I tell her, no matter what, you were not a bad mom. You just did bad things. She goes, what do you mean? I was like, I'm mad at the things you did, not you. Like, my mother has done several things in my youth. I'm not going to get into, and she probably wouldn't like it. Let's just say, wouldn't hold weight in these days. And no, she wasn't abusive, but those things she did would be considered abuse. Not just mistakes, but tempers flaring. She never did anything my son's mother did. My mother never told me she hates me. My mother never told me I'm some kid. And my mother never made me feel like I didn't belong or that she didn't want me. Like my son's mother did to my son. We're not gonna go there. Anyway, and I was like, you've always been my mother. I've always loved you and I always will. The things you did, I've always hated those things. But I learned to forgive you for them because they're only things you did. Now, it's not like my mother did those same things over and over again my whole youth. Some of these things were done more than once, but when it comes to parenting, sometimes you make the same mistake more than once. But most of the stuff that was done by my mother in my youth was only done once each time. Almost like my mother didn't know what to do, she tried it, she saw what it did to her and me, and she backed off. Other things, she didn't know what else to do, and she wasn't taking any other risks. Like for instance, I had a tendency to run off in the store. I had a tendency to run off altogether. My mother would never let me go. Even if it hurt me, she wouldn't let me go. And I don't blame her, because if I have my son, I don't let him go if he's trying to run off. I'd rather leave a bruise the size of my hand than him being able to run off. God forbid something happened to him. I would lose it. So I can only imagine what was going through my mother's mind. I was not exactly a well-behaved child. I didn't deserve what was done to me, but what I've done in my youth does explain some of the actions. Anyway, so like I told my mother 1,000 times, I'm not mad at you. I'm mad at what you did. I didn't like what you did. It hurt me. It bothered me. Whatever the circumstances are. But not you. Because you only did what you thought at the second of time or moment you had to do. In some cases, you just reacted. We're human beings. We're going to react. You did not wake up that morning and go, you know what? Let me fuck this kid up. No. I pushed like any other child would do, and in some cases, not even an adult would do, and I would push until my mother snapped. I don't know if I did it on purpose as a kid. I don't remember that. I remember pushing because I wanted what I want, and I was going to keep going until I got what I wanted. I'm not justifying it, I'm just explaining it. So, there'd be times my mother would snap, and I would pay the price. Not a price that I deserved necessarily, but at least it wasn't like my mother woke up, had a bad day, walked over to me, and it kicked me in the balls. So, I was always mad at my mother because everything she did, it didn't come off and I didn't perceive it as intentional. My father, on the other hand, every single thing he did was perceived intentional. And I'm not being biased here. I'm talking from experience. My mother's never told me that I deserved it for something I did or something I might do in the future that she didn't catch, just to justify the beating when she's wrong. When my mother hit me and I didn't do anything, she apologized and started crying. Because she would scold me and I wasn't exactly trustworthy, so it wasn't all her fault. But she kept thinking I was lying. We would fight, we would argue, and then she would hit me because I wouldn't stop, or because I wouldn't tell the truth, or because I would call her a name. And when she would find out I really didn't do anything and I was telling the truth, she felt guilty and started to cry, apologized to me. My father, on the other hand, did not. Still hasn't. So everything he did was perceived as the intentions because he was a control freak. And his exact words, my uncle used the same phrase, and I hold him responsible for his one action he caused me. But my father said this phrase, you're going to respect me either out of fear or out of respect. I don't care, but you're going to respect me. That mindset is so ignorant. I tell my son, you're going to listen to me whether you like it or not. I'm never going to force my son to respect me in that way. Do what I tell you? Hell yeah. Get that room clean. No, whack. Pick up that mess you just made. No, whack. For the most part, I really don't have to hit my son that much for these things. I really don't. And when I hit him, it's not a beating. It's, pops aside the head. I am Italian, and I'll say it again. It's in the blood. It's one pop upside the head. You better get it done. Don't hit me. Well, then do what I just told you. Okay. Why aren't you doing it? Oh, Daddy, stop it. Dude, get it done. Okay. It's in the nature of the Italianos to do the smack. I'm only being funny. But, every so often my son needs to get popped upside the head. I don't care if you agree. Do something about it. If not, shut the fuck up. Because your opinion only matters to you, whether I'm doing the right thing or not. My son's opinion, whether I'm doing the right thing or not, is all that matters. And I said this in a previous video, I'll say it in this one. My son would tell you he deserves it and needs it, but just doesn't like it. So, if an 11-year-old boy, and mind you, he's been saying that since he was 6, okay? He agrees he deserves it and needs it, but doesn't want it and doesn't like it. Understands that concept, and you don't, and you're an adult, maybe you need a smack upside the head. I'd be more than happy to do it. On that note, I thank you for your time, and I'm sorry for another long, dragged out conversation with myself. But please subscribe and like the video, or don't like the video, but at least subscribe so you can watch more of my nonsense and talk some more shit to me. I'm a little disappointed nobody's had any shit to talk. But it's alright. Peace.